Oh, we got quite a few likes too, so I'm thinking like
How many? 3?
23.
I was right.
Um,
Only 2 dislikes. Yeah, fuck those guys.
okay.
Don't put that in.
So, hey everybody, it's BurgerLord223 here, and with me I have... that's right, I'm alone tonight.
Hey everybody,
who's this?
Hey everybody, hey guys, it's Joe.
Yeah. So here
Hey
we
everybody.
go. So, yeah, it's been a minute. We've been busy with some stuff with life. You know, if you could believe it, we don't just talk about Avatar every day. We do have lives.
Yeah, sometimes I talk about Haikyuu instead.
Right. So, last time, I think he made 1 point in the second video. The 1 point that he made was, why does Aang, why is he okay with Sokka clearly murdering all those people at the Northern Air Temple? Like, why does he just not react to it at all?
Yeah, I have to say, I think that's the most solid point so far.
To me personally, I don't see that much of an issue with it, because Aang seems to be individualistic, but, I mean... he does nag at Katara in season 3, so I guess that's why I'm conceding to it, because he does later on show that, you know, it's like he does care what other people do.
I can't kill the Fire Lord, only like hundreds of his soldiers.
Well, Aang never kills his well, okay, well he did.
He never did it.
He tried to kill someone in that tank, though, as I discussed earlier. But,
That's right.
But so since these past 2 videos, we got quite a few comments, as you can see here, and before we start, I would like to read them, see if we can gauge off some points. So here we go. Should I? No, that's just a compliment. Okay, here we go. So this one is referring to another point that we conceded to MauLer, being that how does why does Roku show up with Zhang? If he could show up with him, why can't he just show up with Aang? So this guy's what is his name? Big Fry 9591 is trying to say, hey, maybe, you know, there is some merit to that. So might I?
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, you can do the reading.
Okay. Might I say that Zhang was meditating in what appears to be his spiritual place of meditation? Meditation? Every time Aang walked in on him, Zhang was facing away, meditating with all those candles around him. I'm very pleased with what I've seen so far. Thank you. Glad I stumbled upon you. Thank you. After watching the first part of the EFAP mini, I literally went to see if anyone put up a rebuttal. I found MauLer through his Dark Souls 2 response, and from that found EFAP. Now I found you through him. I call that coincidental. I call that lucky.
Let's just see what I said, see if I have anything else to go off of this. So this is my voice, so let me read my voice, okay?
I guess you could, like, make that argument that his talents and his, like, candles and stuff are connected to him spiritually.
You say talent? You wrote tent. You wrote this. How did you... This is you!
I have dyslexia.
His tent and all his candles and stuff are connected to him spiritually. However, my problem with thinking that the Roku scene is actually in the spirit world is because Roku sets the tree on fire. Spirits can't bend in the spirit world, which is probably another reason why I thought it was just Zhang making things up in his own head. Remember what I said when I was like, maybe this is all just his own thoughts before, like... So I guess that goes with my point, so I guess I'm not really...
Well, dementia's a hell of a drug.
But remember, he does light the tree on fire, which
True.
does eliminate some aspect of it being in the spirit world. Either that or it's a mistake. But
well, if it's a mistake, it's still a problem.
Yes, but that's why we can't determine, like, is it actually in the spirit world or not? Mm-hmm. I think it's just something in Zhang's head, especially because another thing is Roku seems okay with Aang learning firebending out of order. Do you think Roku would actually do that? Do you be he's fine, he can learn firebending before water and earth, that's fine.
You know, that point was never actually brought up to me. Now that I think about it, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but then again, that's my personal opinion.
It's pretty well established that these things need to be done in a specific order. So
Why didn't Aang learn energy bending then?
okay, we'll get to that.
Oh man.
So yeah, I guess that point will still stand with MauLer, since we can't determine if it's the spirit world or not. I just think I have my arguments that it isn't the spirit world, but there are also arguments that could say yes it is, and it's a mistake. Here's a criticism, which we're also going to read those. We're not going to really read the praisings, because I don't like positivity. So I wholeheartedly stand on your side of the argument, but I unfortunately can't say you guys did a very good job at rebutting him with this. We'll keep watching you guys and see how it goes, though. So, yes, I'm pretty sure I wrote it here. It's like, I think that our initial points against him are good, but our way of explaining ourselves has a lot to be desired, if you know what I mean. Because, what's it called? We can come up with the points, but then when we're asked to, like, fully explain everything, we're kind of just doing this on our feet, right? We're kind of just, like, going with it. We don't have, like, a script. We don't have notes with us. We're kind of just, like, we know the show, but we can make mistakes, you know?
I'm willing to Google and see where the hell we've gone things wrong. I honestly thought that people were going to have a problem with how aggressive we were.
No. You haven't seen EFAP, okay? They're a lot more aggressive than we are.
Oh, that's good.
Like, extremely aggressive, which is fun.
Not even kidding. Like, I was thinking about it, I'm just like, you know what? I feel like some of the things I said, it was out of line. I should have been like, more good-hearted about this. So, I'm glad to know that I can just kind of throw caution to the wind.
Mm-hmm. So this one I like. I remember this one. So this is in response to problems that I myself had with the show. And this is actually a point from Jeremiah when he was watching the show with me. He was like,
if only Jeremiah was here.
Yeah, when the Earth King arrests Long Fang of the Dai Li, who is basically doing this conspiracy to control Ba Sing Se. It's like, how does the king have any power if he's been a puppet his whole life? But this guy, he made a response, and it's just like, let's see. I think the biggest one is the Earth King inconsistent because he's a puppet and he still has power. Now, you reference the fact that the Earth King takes inspiration from the Chinese history. Now, historically, kings rule because they are kings. Fang manipulates the king into believing there is no war by taking advantage of the fact that in Ba Sing Se, kings do not leave the castle, and that there is no war. Oh, wait, no, I already read that. And that Fang is in the king's inner circle. Fang is a parasite that uses the king as a tool, but without that tool, he is powerless. And in this case, the tool is a sentient person who can choose whether or not to be used. Even in real life, the way officers became puppet masters is by influence very young kings by trying to get into their inner circle. They need the king to still sign papers. That's supposed to be still sign papers, pass laws, or to be ignorant enough to give the officers some sort of position that would allow them considerable sway in the government. So
okay.
Yes, in a monarchy, I guess it doesn't matter. King is king. If you
Makes sense.
Yeah, if you try to take control of the king, you're basically a criminal, and they're still going to listen to the king. So, yeah, I was like, I guess I was ignorant about, when I think of a government, I don't think of a monarchy. I think of our government or things similar to that. It's just like, how could someone be in power when they've been a puppet their whole life? But in a monarchy, that doesn't matter. You can have like a 12-year-old fucking rule everything.
Something the Dragon Prince, but still.
I did not like that part.
You had a problem with King Ezrin?
Oh, I have a problem with Ezrin in general.
Ooh, that sounds like another video. Ooh.
Oh, this is a long one, but
I got this. Alrighty. Thank you for being open to discussion. I must apologize due to my own negligence and not double-checking who makes what statement. I made a poor argument by basically creating a new strawman by accusing you of a double standard. That was a scummy thing to do. Oh, this is an apology.
No, but I remember this. He talks about, Bato of the Water Tribe, the episode that we don't like, where Aang crushes the map.
Yeah,
he makes the case that it's actually a pretty well done episode in terms of writing.
Really?
And he actually made me realize, hey, maybe there's a reason I never skipped it after all when going through it. So yeah, where is it?
Let's see. Well, first of all, I might as well read the whole thing. You know, let's see.
Here, just read after apologize.
Okay. Now, in regards to your response. Oh, there it is. Okay. It feels like you've created a headcanon of who Aang is, not because it's impossible, but because your response lacks any reference to the text, or in this case, the TV show, to back up your claims. For instance, how do you say with such confidence that Aang would absolutely, that Aang would absolutely take a detour, especially when, as you say, it's implied to be extremely long and time is of the essence due to Sozin's comet. This is not implied. This is not implied. Those are the stakes of the episode. Saki even says at the end of the episode, "We have wasted enough time already." I know this because I just finished rewatching the episode for my response. Fair enough. By saying Aang would go on a detour that would by saying Aang would go on a detour that would delay his mastery of waterbending and potentially jeopardize the world, you are arguing a similar case to what MauLer was arguing, and that is to ignore the stakes because there is a perceived problem. In MauLer's case, convenience. In yours, inconsistency. You claim that a scene where Aang has a nightmare of Sozin's comet would improve the issue because, as you said, it is implied that if Katara and Sokka go on his one second. It should be noted, despite me reading this, that I have considerably worse eyes than Ryan. I'm like right up against it. I'm like, what is it? What did he say? Let's see.
Sokka go on this detour.
Sokka go on. Where do you see Sokka?
Sokka. Katara and Sokka go on this detour.
Oh God. Sokka go on this detour. Aang would have to leave them behind. This is completely unnecessary because the audience knows that the characters know that the comet is approaching due to the winter solstice parts 1 and 2. In fact, what you suggest of Aang going on the detour for Sokka's father would be an inconsistency, a bad writing, since that would mean Aang is wasting time on probably the longest detour of the series and is ignoring his responsibility, even though he starts to come to terms with said responsibility in The Storm, where Aang's whole backstory
and conflict
is conveyed. Also, there is a rush to get to the North Pole. I don't know if you noticed, but there is a very subtle shift after the winter solstice. If you recall, when the journey first starts, Aang pulls out a map and basically plans out a tour to goof off. Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm. Mostly consisting of riding animals. Episodes such as the Warriors of Kyoshi and the King of Omashu are events that occur only because Aang wants to ride the koi fish and the mail system respectively. Okay, I know this isn't a point, but I now want to count the mail system as an animal just for the sake of the rest of this. Both of these episodes take place prior to finding out about the comet. Afterwards, however, they stop for supplies in the waterbending scroll for Sokka to get a one-time gig to make money in the storm, or because they are sick, such as the Blue Spirit, due to the prior storm. The lack of goofing off compared to the first part of Season 1 is a subtle way of showing that the stakes have been raised and pretty much tells us the gang is making a beeline to the North Pole to get Aang a waterbending teacher ASAP. This is because Doomsday comes by the end of summer. And Doomsday isn't exact. I know what Doomsday is. So they only stop by necessity to help people, the only exception being the fortune teller. In regards to MauLer, you are right. When you said scientifically accurate, I immediately assumed you were talking about the amount of time.
No. This is irrelevant.
Okay.
This is irrelevant to Avatar.
Okay. Well, yeah. What can I say? I'm completely convinced.
I think he says more about Aang's character specifically, but this point about MauLer's critiques, I've noticed a trend. He loves for things to be extremely realistic. With that, that's considered good writing. Which, yes, things being realistic and consistent is good writing. But when he does his Star Wars critiques, there's something that really bugs me. He treats as if space in Star Wars is real space. like he's like, how do these bombs in The Last Jedi drop when there's no gravity? Are they magnetized? Are they this? Are they that? And I'm like, it's Star Wars. It doesn't matter. If space were the real space in Star Wars, none of the ships would fucking work because all of the thrusters are in the back. They would only be able to move in one direction. So stuff like that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, not everything has to be extremely realistic for something to work.
I think realism is important, but there is a note where suspension of disbelief is kind of it's a good case to make.
Now that there is like a few exceptions to this, like. Not in terms of the realism. Okay, so I'm gonna refer. Like, people thought, like, this guy, I think he even says he thought I was referencing in The Last Jedi. Have you seen The Last Jedi?
Thankfully, no.
Okay, well, there's this part where someone uses light speed to kamikaze into a spaceship, into the Empire's ship, or the First Order. No one gives a shit about Disney, and it fucking wipes out the whole fleet. And it's just like, okay, why the fuck has no one ever done this before? Or like, it's stuff like that.
I was gonna say, that sounds pretty rad. Did they make it lame, or was it cool?
It looks cool, but it ruins writing. It ruins the
does.
Writing of the show.
No, you make a fantastic point. I just thought of that, and I'm just like, oh man. It feels like one of those things where it's just like, once that guy has done it, it's just like, oh, shit, right, light speed. We have that. Like...
When it's in-universe problems, I feel like that's more of a problem. When it's like, oh, this realist, like, why are these lasers having gravity in space?
As long as
something like that doesn't really matter all that much. I mean, you can complain if you want to, but like,
yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't really fault someone for being like, oh, geez, I just felt a sharp pain through my neck and down my back. Oh my god. More reason that I'm dying. But, like, yeah, I can't fault somebody for wanting to, consider those things. Cause it's like, okay, well, technically, yeah, that is a point of contention. But, like, at that point, I feel like you're really nitpicking because not every movie is supposed to replicate reality.
And this is a point that they make. Nitpicking doesn't mean it's bad. Like, they're still right. It's like, yeah, like, nitpicking, you're still right, but I'm just saying, like,
right.
It's something like it's not the problem that he brings it up. The problem is, in his videos he goes on for so long about it. He should just like mention it in like a line or two and then be done with it. Because yeah, we know, so like, there shouldn't be gravity in space unless if the object is as big as a planet.
Yeah, there should be no fire there should be no fire in space either. I mean, freaking explosions in space, get the fuck out of here. That's like
but yeah, also yeah, X-wings like shooting their lasers would probably like push them back and then they would like just fly away.
Yeah,
but what okay, wait, I think
how about the fact that nothing would stop on a dime? If you hit light speed, you couldn't just turn it off when you got there. You'd hit light speed, and you'd be at light speed until you crashed into the nearest object, or through the nearest object.
By the way, we're kind of speeding through these comments because we want to get to the video, but also, like, you could always just, like, go into the comments section and read them. I do try my best to reply to as much as I can, or as much as, like, sometimes I can't think of a response, so maybe I'll just concede or something, but... you can read through these if you think that we're kind of, like, skipping through them a little bit.
I gotta go in, like, 7 minutes, right?
So, this guy says, I think MauLer meant, how did Roku know that the Avatar would end if he was killed in the Avatar state? It's still a stupid nitpick, and it's hard not to imagine that you learn things in the spirit world. We also see on the screen that Aang's Avatar spirit faded away when Azula killed him. So, yes, this is something... So we already had plenty of points that went against MauLer, saying how would they know that the Avatar ends when you die in the Avatar state? Aang does die, if you remember. He gets shot in the back.
Oh, I remember.
By Azula. And if you notice...
Fucking 360 no scope.
And the next Avatar is in Born.
If you...
So, it's only... It's only when Katara brings him back to life, like, oh shit, now he's back. But, like, yeah, no one was born after that. So I'm pretty sure it's fact at that point that when you die in the Avatar state, That's it. So, and we also had other points like the avatar state is all avatar spirits into one body. So if you're killing him, you're killing all of their spirits. So that makes sense. So
You know what? You know what's kind of funny to think about though? Could you imagine if like they found out that Roku was wrong? They just Aang just gets just fucking obliterated, and then just like a few miles down the way, you just kind of hear like there you go, new avatar. Like where's the? I just how do they know that? That's what I want to know actually. How are they just kind of like, oh, the avatar has died? Quick, who was just born?
do you remember they give babies toys if they pick the right toys?
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's right. Oh yeah.
Okay, here we go. This is a critique of our explanation. So, saying if he wouldn't have done... This is referring to Roku teaching Aang firebending. So, say if he wouldn't have done X, the story wouldn't work. Learning everything by meditating, for example, isn't a defense. The criticism is that the story shouldn't hinge on there is a better solution, but they chose the more interesting one. I don't think that's the case with the Avatar, but you keep using this bad defense and the last video... despite more solid arguments being there. Your comparison to martial arts was on point. So yeah, I said, like, it's hard to come up with a solid defense against... I think the martial arts point works enough, as well as your point with, multitasking.
I can agree that the whole, like, well, the story wouldn't work. That's entirely what we're, that's the story didn't work, then, we can't just defend that and be like, no, the story has to work. No,
Yeah.
that's a problem. We're supposed to point those out. We're supposed to recognize when we are wrong too. But I think you're right. I feel like the points that we made after the fact made up for that admittedly shitty counter argument. So thank you for calling us out on that. By the way, what's his name? Thank you for calling out on
China. Or Japan.
Well. Thank you, this person.
That looks like Ramiel from Evangelion, but gray, so I'm going to call him Ramiel.
Okay, thank you, Ramiel from Evangelion.
And then he brings up a point about Zhang saying it clearly is a vision. The colors are tinted, the dead tree is alive and no longer has any candles placed upon it. All but one of the candles are missing. Also, Roku died, but he wasn't able to control fire, a volcano enough, and was too weak, so therefore definitely connection there. Not saying it is solid, but it just popped into the weird world. I cannot find a better explanation for Roku not training Aang, though I think the one in the video is pretty good.
Thank you, Evangelion person.
So, yes, Roku teaching Aang, I think we have solid defenses against it, but there is not a concrete reason for why they didn't try. Do you think you can come up with the reason for why they didn't even think to try to ask for Roku to see if he could teach Aang firebending?
Give me 1 second because my initial response is no. So let me think on that. Yeah, no, that sounds like something Sokka would like immediately say. Just like, oh, cool, can you teach me firebending? I don't know. Like
they do say. Well, Katara says we can look for Zhang, and he's like, yeah, like we'll run into him again. But yeah, no one. Well, see, the spirits are so like ill-defined in Avatar. In all honesty, like
which is a problem with the show, not with MauLer's argument.
Yeah, the koi fish thing. I mean, I still don't fully understand what was happening there.
There are some things that are just not explained. I feel like this is one of them. I think it's actually really strange how you don't hear talk of a single instance like Aang was like, well, I can't find a firebending teacher, and Roku's like, well, how about Zhang? And then Zhang, I mean, that went to hell, and Roku was never like, well, I guess I'll teach you then. Like, no, there was never, no one, like, ever mentioned it, even like a whisper of it, which I actually think was kind of interesting. They probably know something we don't, but that's not an argument, That's just, again, a poor writing
thing
point.
Is, too, like, Roku isn't just a firebender, he's a previous avatar, so theoretically they could think to bring it up for every element. Why not just sit in a hut and then bring your past lives together.
What an interesting show, but again, that's not.
But
an
yeah,
argument.
that's not that's what we said before. But maybe it's just common knowledge that you just can't do that.
Well,
you know,
and see, that's just headcanon too.
Yeah.
We can't use that as a solid argument either.
I think I even said to no, that was just me saying
there's my
what I
name.
said before. I said there probably is an even better defense for that, but for the life of me, I can't think of one right now, and I still can't. So I may have to put down a fourth tally, which I don't want to do because I really don't like the whole why didn't Roku teach him bending.
Well, just because you didn't like it doesn't mean he's not right. So put that down.
I'll put it down for now, yeah, until we come up with
You got a fourth one, Mauler. In the comments, no less. In the.
I guess reading these comments doesn't make us as mad, but
Well, no, we're not mad at the viewers. We're mad at bullshit.
just gonna dwindle on this for a few more seconds, see if I can come up with even a single shred of anything.
We'll be back after these messages.
No. Okay.
And we're back.
Did Roku even know that the sages had betrayed him? Okay, so yeah, like
That's a good question.
no, I came up with the response. So sorry for this was 2 weeks ago, and he responded like that was a month ago. But yeah, even if that were true, the Fire Sage's temple is still located in the Fire Nation, which Roku 100% knows is a dangerous place to be in.
True.
Remember, the most dangerous thing isn't even the Sage's temple; it's the fucking blockade that they can't get. Well, they get through, but it's fucking hard as hell. As he lived right when the war started. Now, it may be true that the temple is in the far east. It's in the far east of the Fire Nation, right? It's like right at the eastern tip of it, so it's like the furthermost from the west where all the Fire Lord is.
To the internet.
You're gonna look up the map?
Of course I will.
Crescent Isle, yes. It's actually right next to the Earth Kingdom.
Really?
But it is still in the Fire Nation, and there's a whole blockade around it. So, if I just need a line saying that Aang had to go to that temple specifically. I always thought it had to be at the Air Temple because Monk Gyatso says there's someone you need to speak to when you turn 16, and then there's the Roku statue when they finally go back.
I thought it was the vision that he had of the temple that drew him towards it.
But that happened way later. Like, I'm talking about, like, when Aang was 12 and the Airbenders were still alive, Monk Gyatso was like, Aang, there's someone you need to meet when you turn 16, and that's at the Southern Air Temple. When Aang goes there, all he does is go into the Avatar state, and then all the statue's eyes light up. But then, a lot later, in the Winter Solstice Part 1, Roku's spirit of the dragon, like, Roku's dragon's spirit shows up, gives him the vision of go to this temple.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just like, why didn't you just send the dragon to help Aang out when he was at the Air Temple where he was probably supposed to do it in the first place? Like, why go to this dangerous island full of people trying to kill you?
Well, Ryan, that's because that would have made sense.
So that was my problem with it, and I think I gave Mauler a point for that. Like, why do they have to go to that temple specifically? The Winter Solstice stuff makes sense because every other instance of Roku showing up, it's a full moon. Aang is in the Avatar state, or Aang calls upon Roku himself.
I'm still, like, shell-shocked about, like, just how well you, like, I was actually going to give Mauler that point until you were just like, no. And then just, it's like you, like, pulled out the Rolodex from behind you and you were just like, look at all of these. I was quite impressed.
This is also about Mauler should get a half point, bringing up the fact that Roku could have taught Aang something as a Chinese Force Ghost. Maybe not a full-blown class on firebending, but Roku is Fire Nation. Fire Nation's Japanese, not Chinese. Bare Essentials, or even just general Avatar wisdom to help on his journey. What did I say? Maybe, although, again, it would have been a waste of time in the story. So, yeah, this is just like, the story wouldn't work. So, yeah, that's a bad argument.
See, we say this, however, we've given him the point. So, actually, you got more than what you asked for.
Yeah.
Who's the person that's asking for the half point? It just works. They're right. It just works. But, yeah.
No, he gets more than a half point. He got that full point. He's Mauler. Oh God, 1 second. I'm gonna need to take a swig of this before I. Mauler had a point. Whew. It's a bad taste in my mouth, but I'm not one to.
And yeah, this guy basically says MauLer isn't trying to argue that they should have tried to have Roku teach bending.
Yep.
Is that there's not good enough reason that he couldn't have.
You make a very good point.
Well, that's what MauLer said.
Well. Damn it, I gotta do it again.
We already gave him the point.
Well, we gave him the point, but yes, they're right. He's right.
Until we can come up with... I feel like there's something there that we're just missing. I feel like there is an explanation. I haven't... It's almost 2021. I'll rewatch it again. My annual rewatch, and I'll see if I can find anything. But for this one, I think this guy's responding to stuff that you said, where MauLer was talking about people in the Northern Air Temple. Like, you were like, why would Aang just kick these people out, when the Fire Nation is, like, oppressing them? And this guy's basically saying that MauLer never said that he tried, like, he should have been kicking them out, is strawmanning his arguments and shit like that. I think you were just joking, though. I think it was just, like, a joke. It's like, what, you want Aang to kick these people out and call it his own, or some shit like that? I don't fully remember what happened.
Well, it was a funny statement to make, but also, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what Aang wanted from that situation. They had already,
MauLer's point was, why would Aang antagonize the Fire Nation when there's, like, children and all these other things here? And we came up with the point, like, what, you want them to do nothing and just let these Fire Nation oppress them? And I think you took that even further and say, what, you want to just kick these people out of my home or something like that?
I'd have to look at the video again. I actually don't remember this.
Which is an hour and 26 minutes, so have fun.
Shit. Well, I've watched a stream VOD before. I can not listen to myself talk for an hour and 26 minutes, but you know what? Sven, I'm gonna do it for you, man. I'm gonna watch the whole video over to reply to this.
But yeah, that's basically all the comments we had to read. We didn't get... You know what, we'll just...
What did his whole comment say? Because I actually didn't read it. Let's see. MauLer never... Yeah. He said... Okay, he said... Alright. MauLer never once said he wanted Aang to kick them out of the temple. He just said that he got over it too quickly without enough justification. You guys keep straw-manning his arguments and then get furious over it. I mean...
I don't even remember being furious.
I remember being mad. Are you kidding me? That was like the whole joke was that we were mad.
Yeah, but no, I don't remember, like, being... What's it called? I don't even remember what he's actually, like, referring to.
Well, then we'll have to watch we'll both watch the video again, and we'll respond to this because we don't want to fight with straw man arguments. We're better than that here.
So anyway, that's all the comments. I think what we're gonna do is we're just gonna stop this recording, and then this isn't gonna be the episode. We'll just meet up next time and actually EFAP the video. The actual video.
I really hope we put this part in because that would mean that I hope we put in this part explaining it too because that would mean that after seeing these comments we went back, watched the whole video, potentially watched Avatar again. I hope it doesn't take that long, but watch the whole video again.
No. We're not gonna wait to watch the entirety of it. We've made them wait long enough.
Fair enough. Well, Sven, I
already remember everything anyway.
Fair enough. Well, Sven, you know what, man? I'm going to take a look at this video again, and for me, it's going to be like maybe a week. For you, it's going to be like 3 seconds, because we're going to cut straight to our response.
Well, hey everybody, Burglor223 here, and it actually is just going to be me this time around. You may have heard previously in the video, if I put it in, that Joe was here, but... that recording was about a week ago, and some personal things got in the way with this recording, and I feel like you guys have been waiting long enough, so I thought, hey, might as well just do it by myself. It's going to be awkward as fuck, since there's not going to be, like, fun commentary going around, but, this is just what we're going to do, because it's been 3 months, and we need to get this video, like, ready, you know? Yeah. So, before we actually, like, go into the video, I wanted to, read some more of the comments, see if there's anything I can add before we start. So, this was I don't think we fully went into this one. This is a criticism of the way we criticize, which, like, you may have noticed that we don't actually, like, use a script. We kind of just, you know, go off of what we think. You may have noticed that I do that with a lot of things. Like, I don't actually, like, look up references. I remember them. Like, I remember that this is the reason why I'm going after this show, you know, rebuttaling this criticism for this show. First of all, because it's basically the only thing he's ever been this wrong on. And also, I have so much passion for the show that I pretty confidently can memorize just about everything about it. Which is why I respond so passionately with these criticisms, you know. But this man here, Walt, he does have a criticism. I wholeheartedly stand on your side of the argument, but I unfortunately can't say you guys did a very good job at rebuttaling him with this. We'll keep watching you guys to see how it goes, though. And I basically said, thank you. I think what we do is we come up with good points, but when it comes to explaining ourselves, we kind of ramble and lose the explanation along the way. Because again, we're not really, you know, have notes, we kind of just go with the flow. And that's not exactly the right way to handle criticism. But as I've said before, I just want someone to go against him on this, right? And I thought I would do it. He basically says to watch a whole lot of EFAP, which I started watching EFAP around when they started. I mean, I watched them before Cosmonaut, but when I started getting really into it was when they did the Cosmonaut prequel video. Because I actually watched Cosmonaut. I didn't think he was a good critic, but I thought he was funny. And yeah, with that prequel video, I thought it was really bad because in the beginning, he says, these are going to be my own criticisms. I'm not going to say anything anyone else has said. I'm going to say my own things. Yet most of his points are exactly Plinkett points. Like, exactly the same scenes, same references, same, you know, jokes and everything. He says the same exact thing as the Plinkett. So watching them go through that and realizing that themselves too, like, that's when I started getting into them. I've seen a bunch since then. I haven't seen every single one. There are some topics that I don't really care about. But yeah. So that's basically, yeah, I basically just said, I want to be criticized and grow, and I also want to criticize MauLer, have him grow. Because, yeah, there's a clip of, in one of the Mandalorian episode reviews of season 2.
EJ says, I agree. I love EFAP and have followed this dude since TLJ, but I think they're starting to turn into teenagers at a high school movie party. I think he said that before. With Avatar and The Mandalorian, they're starting to stretch into CinemaSins territory, especially with this episode. I agree there are oodles of writing issues with The Mandalorian, but they're approaching it like me and my friends do with Sharknado. They're not the same quality at all.
Like, I can see why he said that. Like, you shouldn't be shitting on Sharknado like you do Mandalorian, but you can treat anything with this standard. And, funnily enough, we did Hill House with this. We ended up just shutting up.
Comes out really well.
Yeah. Also, I find it interesting that it's like, oh, you get into CinemaSins territory. It's like, what are the two examples? Avatar and The Mandalorian. You guys need to recover from Avatar. It was one subject. Do you know how much media we've talked about between the Avatar stuff and the Mandalorian stuff? It's like I slapped your mother and you just won't forget it.
Which The Mandalorian is fucking terrible. I don't even watch the show, but I watch the EFAPs on it, and yeah, they're right. But with Avatar, they actually are wrong, but the way MauLer responds is, well, he kind of just wants to dodge the criticism. He's like, hey, let's just get over it, alright? You guys just need to recover. But it's just like, I don't know, you kind of handled it really badly, and all we want is some sort of recognition. Running away from it is exactly why people still mention it to him, why I'm still doing this. If he had some sort of response, I wouldn't feel the need to make these videos. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but whatever. And he says I have a healthy mindset. Thank you. I think I do too. This one, I don't think we went fully in depth on this one. We went into depth on the monarchy, but in terms of Bato of the Water Tribe, yeah, with the whole, okay, so we've made points for, like, Aang would not do this because he is a monk child, implying that Aang is more mature than the average 12-year-old, but then you occasionally contradict this by saying that, yeah, Aang is 12 years old and is therefore immature. Now, I don't like the whole he's 12 argument. I mean, yes, he is a kid, but, yeah, it's like, I think I've done it a couple times, but I feel like Joe does it more often than I do. Now, most of the time he is joking, I can strongly say, but in terms of an argument, yeah, saying he's 12, you know, that's not a good argument. I think we talked about that, actually. Yeah, we talked about this. Aang runs away from home and his responsibilities, the action that gets him frozen in the iceberg. Yeah, so this guy, what's his name? I don't want to butcher his name. Francisco Gomez, I'm sorry. But he basically helped me realize that Bato of the Water Tribe isn't a bad episode. Like I said, it was one of my least favorite. However, it was one that I never skipped. So I think subconsciously maybe my brain knew, hey, this isn't that badly written of an episode. In fact, it's quite good. So I wanted to talk about this for a second. This is my opinion on MauLer. So what Francisco says is MauLer tends to be really good with logical dissection, but he sometimes forgets that stories are still crafted and do not follow reality one-to-one and create events capable of expressing something. Overall, a video of this kind was sorely needed. Okay, you're just complimenting me now. I thank you. So yeah, here's where I talked about, yes, MauLer has a tendency to think that every single story should be as realistic as possible. I hate whenever he judges the rules of space in Star Wars. If Star Wars was scientifically accurate, all of the ships wouldn't fucking work. They would all go in a straight line as they only have thrusters in the back of their ships. In space, your ship doesn't need to be aerodynamic, and it would need a way to propel itself from all directions. This is in regards to gravity in space and bullet drop arguments in his Last Jedi critique, not the light speed kamikaze, because that isn't a rule of space, that is the rule of the universe, and they are breaking it, right? So, them contradicting the rules of space, that's the rule of Star Wars. In Star Wars, ships are aerodynamic, and they have thrusters in the back. They're basically there to just look cool. So how they look, like, they always critique Slave One and everything, and yes, in reality, Slave One would be very, very inconvenient, you know? But that is not the point. Who cares? The point is to have cool ships that make cool sounds and they shoot at things, as long as they follow the rules in the universe. And in the rules of the universe, all the ships are perfectly fine, and lasers curving and everything, perfectly fine. Light speeding to destroy an entire fleet of Star Destroyers, that's a problem. So that's kind of what my take on that was. It's like they always constantly critique something as like make it as realistic as possible. It's like things don't need to be. Something isn't badly written if it isn't realistic. I think to what's her name, Penny's CinemaSins critique, where she imitates CinemaSins criticizing Looney Tunes.
It's clearly established a few seconds ago that the tunnel is painted on, so how did the Roadrunner run through it as if it were real? The Roadrunner just ran straight through that thing. Why is the Coyote not able to do the same? Are you guys just making this up as you go along? I know it's supposed to be a joke, but inconsistency isn't clever. It's just bad writing.
So, where was the one that I missed? Okay, MauLer never once said he wanted Aang to kick them out of the temple. Yes. Okay, so here's where we were confused and we didn't know what this guy meant. So, what we said... So, MauLer says, you know, Aang's morality is put into question, right? And he was referring to Aang being okay with, after Sokka blew up the whole ravine, right? Or the whole mountain. But after that, they discuss a bit about Aang's turn to, like, helping, turn from not liking that people are in his temple to helping them. He said there was not enough of a change there, which I think there was. I don't think he watched the episode, but we mixed his two arguments. We mixed his argument of Aang's morality being put into question along with why did he decide to help these people. So we thought he said his morality is put into question because he seems like he is okay with kicking these people out of the temple, which he never said. We mixed in his arguments and we got confused. And yes, I said I don't think we were frustrated, but I went back and watched. Yes, we are pretty frustrated, and it was something we created on our own. So yes, that was a problem on our part, and yeah, you can just ignore that part of the video. But anyway, I think without further ado, we get on with the actual video.
Aang is flawed. He's a flawed character. He makes mistakes, but only sometimes when he's actually faced with the consequences does he realize how bad he has it. I mean, there's a minor example I can think of right now where he gets a big head when he goes to Kyoshi Island, and he gets all this attention, and everyone just loves him, and he kind of has a fight with Katara, the girl he's fallen in love with. And they kind of separate because of his flaw that he has a big head.
Okay, well, not a big head. It's statue of Avatar Kyoshi. Or does he mean, like, you know, his ego expands? But either way, yes, he's right. So yes, there's even more evidence against my hate towards Bato the Water Tribe for Aang acting like a child. So yes, there is plenty of evidence before then where he acts, you know, immature. So this is a point against me. I just wanted to bring that up.
And they kind of separate because of his flaw that he has a big head. So while I think he might be able to lead this war and defend his temple, because the defending of the Airbender temple, that is a huge thing for Aang. I remember he was really affected by the skeleton of the monk's death, and how his people were all slaughtered. So that's and he does have a temper, which is how sometimes he taps into the...
Yes, he does. Of course he would want to save his temple, but it's not just the temple he would want to save. He grew to actually care about those people because they have Airbender spirit. Teo is the biggest example of someone with Airbender spirit. He kind of represents the whole... the whole town there, the whole society there, right? So... Again, MauLer, I guess, really wanted Aang to interact with everyone in the town, but Teo kind of represents everyone in the town. And his father is a victim. He represents all the shit they had to do to survive there. You know, all the machinery and everything that they've done. Like, they need all that stuff, right? They probably used machinery to get up there in the first place. What's it called? But his father is a victim, and he's like building weapons for the Fire Nation, so they need to stop the Fire Nation, to make him not be a victim, so that way all this pollution, because maybe most of the pollution is used for the weapons, so maybe like most of that will go away. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think there's plenty of reason for why Aang decides to help these people.
Avatar state before he was ready. And so I could see that he would become angry. I know from there he constructed a war. It might seem non-lethal to him. So when
Oh yes, and him starting the fight again, like, it makes sense.
but when they blow things up, and he's like you said, they can't do anything about killing anybody. On that part, Aang probably could have assumed that they all lived, that it wasn't lethal, and because he might not understand. He's 12 years old. He doesn't.
Well, yeah, the whole 12-year-old. Here we go again with the whole 12-year-old argument. If I saw a huge explosion in the middle of battle, I would think that people died. Even if I was 12, you pretty much understand the concept of death at birth. So, but I don't know. I think it's the show's fault for exaggerating the explosion. If the explosion wasn't shown to be so huge, I don't think it would have been a problem. But yes, we already gave him a point for the big explosion and for Aang basically being okay with it, which I don't have a defense for. So yeah.
Comprehend the entirety of what happens in war, and it's shown that he likes to play around. He thinks this stuff is a game sometimes.
I do agree with that. However, he does tend to like even in the beginning, it's like, we can't fight firebenders with fun. He's like, you should try it sometimes. Like, he doesn't fully understand the weight of the situation, but I think he would understand a huge explosion.
Like the prison, like, oh, just leave people here. Just leave people here in slavery. They'll be fine. They're not being hurt, because as King Boomy says, it's all about evasion and moving out of the way for airbenders. That's the airbender style.
I don't know what is he referring to. Is he referring to Haru with the island? He didn't want to leave the prisoners there just because they're prisoners. He wanted to leave because Katara was in danger in there. Like, she was a prisoner, when it's like, okay, you tried. We kind of got to get out of here. And it was mostly Sokka who was like, all right, let's get out of here. Let's hit the road. We gotta leave. But then Aang realizes, hey, Cole, and he's the one that inspires everyone. Well, not inspires everyone, but he inspires, like, the plan to free everyone from the prison. So I don't know what he's referring to there, actually, because he does help everyone in that prison. Again, choosing Literature Devil to counteract MauLer's points was not the way to go. I have seen ER's Korra videos by this point now. In the beginning, I didn't. And yes, he should have definitely have had ER on here countering MauLer's points, because I don't think MauLer would have gotten away with this at all.
Airbender mentality: get out of the way, go with the flow, that sort of thing. And when it comes to Aang and war, he might have just thought those people lived and it was okay for them to go through this explosion. But I would say that if he was faced with the consequences of his actions, he would feel really bad. And like you saw in Kyoshi's Island, when the firebenders came and started burning things down, he didn't care. He knew the firebenders were after him. He knew what that would mean. He saw what they did at the South Pole. The South Pole. Yeah, he saw what they did. He knows that the people after him are going to bring destruction. But did he care in Kyoshi's Island? No, because he couldn't comprehend it. He's like the attention.
Surely it explodes.
He does care. Again, I don't think he finished this point, but Aang, I think what he was gonna say is that Aang does end up caring once Kyoshi Island does start to burn down. Yes, I think that's accurate, actually, to Aang's character. He doesn't fully understand war, and he doesn't want to deal with it. He kind of just wants to have fun, and he thinks he can get away with everything. I mean, he's the Avatar, but once he faces the consequences of his actions, he actually, like, you know, that's when he's like, this shit's serious, and that's when he gets serious and he actually stops the problem. But he does feel regret in Kyoshi's Island. It's like he does feel regret for allowing that to happen. And by the Northern Air Temple, stuff like that has happened a lot. And I think he understands the concept of war at that point. He understands how important it is, that he understands how serious everything is by that point. So, yeah, this isn't a good defense. Again, a good defense would be he wanted to help these people because he learned to care about them through Teo and his father, because his father was being victimized by the Fire Nation, so he wanted to liberate them and free them. So yes, the battle does make sense. However, the problem is that Aang is okay after Sokka, throws the engine in the gas leak and explodes everything. He does say, hey, look, they're retreating, and he's like, yeah, we did it. But yeah, there's no way that he doesn't understand, hey, maybe people died in that. Maybe he does understand. I mean, I don't know. I can't really come up with a defense for that. He doesn't really seem to care that a huge explosion went off. He's like, hey, they're retreating, we won, and that's it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have it. We already gave MauLer a point for that.
Explosion of that magnitude, like there's not going to be much of a
like I said, it's probably going to be a stretch. Might be actually a mistake, but I could also see Aang just not comprehending that. Maybe the writers thought it would be in his fitting for his characterization that we've seen up to that point, where he might not see
super interesting
comprehend
to have because everybody condemns the dad's character, and I was like watching, I was like, I don't know, man, like I think that I'm on his side. Like this place,
which dad?
The guy who's
They condemn him for making weapons for the Fire Nation. Well, you're on his side for supplying an evil army for war? He's like, I'm doing it to survive. And they're like, okay, yeah, but it's still wrong. Right? They're being used for murder. So you know what? Aang is like, okay, well, we're going to liberate you. We can't allow this to keep happening. So they liberate him. He literally just said, like, yeah, the dad is there, he's victimized. That's a reason right there why Aang and the gang, want to help them. It's like, you're making weapons for the Fire Nation, you're a victim, but I understand you guys need to live here, so you know what, we're gonna help you. That's exactly his thought process. So, I don't understand his problem with that.
Making weapons for the Fire Nation in order to have his community stay in the Air Temple. I'm like, I mean, yes, it's bad that you're giving them more strength, but I mean, if your options are that or die, maybe that wasn't the option. And I think that episode could have focused on that idea, and then also mixing in the whole like taking something for your own, and especially like, I feel like that probably should have been a couple of episodes of Aang. Really, because like I don't know, that was probably the peak of my investment when Aang was like super pissed off with them for what they've plugged pipes into all of the artwork. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna create some tension. But the other part to that sort of bothers me about that episode is that the Fire Nation know that Aang, or that the Airbender is there. Like they would have had a lot of visual confirmation, obviously. So either they conclude that he is there, and so they'll send multiple, factions of their own forces to get there and to get him, or they get there and realize he's not there, but they still they'll take the place back. That's a place where they were defeated in warfare by this enormous, absurd explosion that obviously they can't pull that trick again. So I guess
what makes you think that they would think they can't pull that trick off again? If I went to someone's house, right? Like let's say I was a gang member and I was collecting money from a house, right? Like I was like, hey, give me protection money, right? And then someone's there, right, that I haven't met. Maybe I've heard of them, right? They're like a vigilante. It's Batman. It's like, oh shit, it's Batman. And he's like, get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to come back with my fucking gang, and I'm going to fucking level this house. So I leave. I come back, and they have weapons, and they beat the absolute shit out of us. They're using, like, stink bombs and stuff. So imagine if, like, your gang was beaten by like Home Alone style pranks with like slingshots and like paint buckets and shit like that, and then all of a sudden someone throws a grenade outside of the house and blows shit up. I don't think I'm coming back. I think I'm afraid at that point. But also, okay, they are a warfare, so you could say, well, they're a war. They have more infantry. They could go back to get more weapons from the sky. But at this point, I think they have plenty of weaponry, and also they are more concerned with re-engineering the war balloon. They find the crashed war balloon, and they're like, this defeat will be the gateway to many victories. And they're going to create the airships, right? That's what that foreshadows, right? So at that point, that is their concern. They're like, we don't need these tanks anymore that can be defeated by water. Maybe they think, hey, he's been actively putting weaknesses in these machinery. He could do it again. You know what? Let's just leave this air temple alone. First of all, they defeated us with, their limited weaponry, but also a huge explosion. Who knows if they have more of that? Who knows if, they can just throw 15 of those or whatever that was. They don't know what it was. So they're like, okay, leave that northern air temple alone. I mean, there's nothing more we can really get from it. Who knows if that guy will even help us? They might start a fight again. You know what? Not worth the risk. What is worth it right now is to re-engineer this war balloon, and also we need to take back Ba Sing Se. We shouldn't waste troops with big explosions at this tiny temple with this little community. It's not worth it. What we need to do is send as much people as we can to raid Ba Sing Se, and we need to re-engineer this war balloon for the airships, right? So I think that was their concern. I again, like, the whole gang member metaphor, I wouldn't be coming back. Let's say, like, I found, like, a serial number from a shard of the grenade. It's like, I can come back with more grenades, right? Let's just leave them alone for now. Wait till we actually get everything we need, right? So, yeah. So I think that was their concern. They're not really concerned about the temple anymore. They have more important things to worry about. So that's my response to that.
My point is, like, Aang leaving them, like, is to their doom. But they show up in season 3, and I was like, oh, I guess they're okay.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, I think I did a pretty good job of counteracting that.
I think the implication was that since Aang led them to victory, and they learned how to fight back and learn how to essentially war on their own, that they were able to hold off the Fire Nation from...
And that's also true. They also learned how to fight at that point. Also, who even knows if they stay at the temple at that point? They could leave. I mean, there's no mention of that, but it is possible. Who's to say that they don't leave the temple and go somewhere else? But also, yes, they do learn how to fight on their own. And also, again, like I said, the Fire Nation has more important things to worry about at this point, so who cares?
From there, because, I don't know.
Well,
they rearranged their...
They could only do that explosion trick the one time, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Fire Nation doesn't know that. They don't know what caused the explosion. All they know is, holy fucking shit, this town just leveled a whole mountain. That's all they know. They have no way of knowing that it was an engine to their war balloon that caused an explosion due to a gas leak. They have no way of knowing that. They could think that was just a regular bomb. So they're basically bluffing at that point. But it's a good bluff.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what they wanted to imply. They never went back to it. They never showed the aftermath. Mm. But that's what they probably thought you would think. That they could, from then on, after Aang, the wise avatar, taught them how to fight back, they were able to continue fighting back.
Do you remember the Black Sun episode very well?
I do. Part 2 is one of my favorite episodes in the show. So let's see what he has to say about this.
It's the one where everyone loses all the firebenders lose their bending ability.
Do you remember their assault begins, and they're surprised that the Fire Nation lift a net in the water so they can't travel past it. Do you remember
I don't remember that episode specifically
I know what he's talking about. I want to know what his problem is.
too well.
Oh, well, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to lie to you. I'll just tell you, you could make
I don't know, MauLer. I don't know if I could trust you at this point.
this from what you will, but so our team is heading toward attacking the Fire Nation, and they're in the water, and as they're traveling across, the Fire Nation lift this huge net, and
Oh yeah.
so first thing in my head, I was just like, well, you can cut steel with water, so you can obviously cut a net with water. That's probably not going to be that hard. But then they set the net on fire, the Fire Nation do. Like, that's even more threatening. And I was just like, will that destroy the net? Like, but okay, fine. Let's just...
Okay, well, I know that that's not his actual problem, because he's moving on to it really fast, so it's just a nitpick. But this is the Fire Nation. Who knows? Maybe the net is made out of fire retardant material, right? Okay. That's my response to that. Again, it's a nitpick. I doubt he cares that much about it. It is mostly for visual sake.
Assume the net is just flame retardant. No, wait. Simultaneously flammable but not destroyable? I don't know. Surely you could put out the fire with the water bending.
Do you forget that what they're in are an invention by Sokka called submarines? I'm actually really confused. So his problem is that they set the net on fire, right? And they're in submarines, but he wanted them to throw water at the net to get rid of the fire on the net. What would that do? The net would still be there. Wait, I'm actually really I'm gonna go back real quick. Am I hearing this right?
Fine, let's assume the net is just flame retardant. No, wait. Simultaneously flammable but not destroyable? I don't know. Surely you could put out the fire with the water bending. Like, Katara at that point has been shown to, like, cause tsunamis. So, like, I don't see...
But the net would still be there if it's made out of fire retardant material. They're in submarines, right? They go underneath the net. That was the whole point of them. They're like, hey, first hurdle, Great Gates of Azulon. That's what the subs are for. They're surprised because, I think it's because they're not surprised that, oh shit, the net is here. They're surprised because, like, oh shit, we're here. It's go time. Like, it's time to fucking go. So yeah, they weren't surprised. They were more just like, okay, they're getting ready. They're getting ready for battle. And also, a net like that is intimidating, even if you know you can get past it with fucking submarines. Again, did you forget that they're using submarines? But anyway, they have submarines. But yeah, it's like, that's still intimidating to look at. It's like, shit. Like, this is scary. I can't believe we're about to invade the Fire Nation. So, I don't know what your criticism is there. It's really confusing.
Make rain and everything.
But they're all like, oh god, what are we going to do? And then they engage with their submarine plan. Which, then again, in my head, I was just like, why didn't you open with this? That's, like, stealthy and really effective.
I'm gonna quote the scene for you while they're in the submarine. Okay. So, it was like, okay, here's how it goes. So, Sokka's father, like, compliments Sokka for, like, great invention, Sokka. And he's like, well, I just came up with the idea. The mechanist did all the work. And he's like, don't sell yourself short, my boy. It was your idea to use water bending to have the sub sink and float. Brilliant. Though your original designs were a bit difficult to decipher. Unfortunately, there was one problem I couldn't fix. This is the important part. The subs have a limited air supply. So before we make it to the what is it called? The port, we need to resurface, right? That's why they don't lead with the submarine plan. They go in the water tribe boats first, right? Until they get to the gate as close as possible, then they go in the subs because they have a limited air supply because they have to resurface to get more air. Again, your criticisms are terrible, first of all. But also, it makes me think that you did not pay attention when watching the show, which I get it. if you weren't interested in it, then why make this video? If you watched it and wasn't really interested in it and wasn't paying attention and didn't really like it, why would you make this video? Wouldn't you just be like in an EFAP and someone like comments on it, hey, did you watch Avatar? It's like, yeah, I didn't really like it. You know, it's just like, okay, that would be it. But no, you made a whole video responding to it and you're just wrong on every level, and then you don't want to mention it ever again. Like, you actively want to avoid it. And it's strange. Although in a recent EFAP, I think he was playing Melee. It was like during Super Chats. Someone said, MauLer, your opinion on Avatar is trash. And he said, I think we can all agree that the ending is bad. So it does seem like he did concede. He does realize that he was wrong. And yes, the ending, I wouldn't say it's bad, but the fight with Ozai is contrived. So it does take away quite a bit from the ending, but I wouldn't say the ending is bad. But so it does seem like he concedes, but at the same time, this video still exists, and he needs to do a proper response to it.
And it'll just like drop you all off exactly where you need to go. And I just don't see why a fire net was the thing that that screwed them up. I was just like, huh.
It didn't screw them up. That was their plan. They go up to the gate of Azulon. They're surprised by the Fire Net, 'cause it's intimidating, and oh shit, we're about to invade the Fire Nation right now. But it's like, everyone get in it's immediate. Everyone get in the subs. And that's what they do. Jesus Christ.
But, and you know, that's obviously this is a rather big climax. This whole scene,
and it's handled really, really well. You just weren't paying attention, which is surprising. I feel like at this point you should be 100% invested. So if he wasn't invested in this, I'm gonna wonder, did he even pay attention to the things that were setting all of this up? Which is really important.
Yeah, the Black Sun episode.
Yeah, well, you know, fire's scary. Okay, as Frankenstein.
Oh, shut the fuck up, Literature Devil. I mean, you do a terrible job. I don't think he watched the show either. He probably watched it once, a really long time ago, and forgot literally everything about it, and probably wasn't paying attention to it the first time he watched it. Jesus Christ.
Lets us know all the time, fire bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, when you're assaulting a fire, I'm not going to. I don't think I can really defend that really well. But
oh my fucking god, you can't defend it. I did it immediately. So this is what I mean. He should have had someone who watched the show.
But the thing, when you're assaulting a firebender castle or citadel, and you think they have no firebending ability, and they give you fire anyway, that might be disheartening, or that might damage the morale.
Yeah, I'd be like, I wonder how they
no firebending ability, and they give you fire anyway, that might be disheartening, or that might damage the morale.
Yeah, I'd be like, I wonder how they did that.
Well, the eclipse didn't kick in yet, so they weren't surprised by that. So you did a false nitpick, and I gave you a nitpicking answer. They wouldn't be surprised by fire because, the eclipse hasn't kicked in yet, so they know that they still have fire.
Wait, I think that was that before the eclipse that they pulled that out? They might have been before because it happened.
Yes, it's before.
During the battle, I think, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. So, they don't waste any time. So they might.
See, he doesn't even remember. He doesn't, like, MauLer, he should have been like, hey, did you watch the show Literature Devil? A really long time ago. Yeah, maybe I should get someone else.
I've done that.
Maybe, yeah. Do you remember the anthology episode with, I think it's 5 stories in one episode?
The Tales of Ba Sing Se. Every YouTuber says this is the first episode you should watch, and I disagree. I think it's really cheesy, and it's really kiddie, except for the Iroh and Zuko tales. I don't think it represents the show quite as well as something like The Beach, The Storm, or what's another really good one that doesn't give too much away. The Blue Spirit is a good one that's right after The Storm. I don't know. I don't know why people choose that one, as it does introduce the characters quite well, but it's done in a really kiddie, fillery way, and I don't think it represents the show. It represents the characters well, but it doesn't really represent the show that well, in my opinion. I can't really... That's a subjective thing. Maybe objectively it is a good way to... It is a good way to represent the show because there's kiddie stuff and there's serious stuff mixed in there, which I guess does represent the show well, but I don't know. I personally would not choose that as the first... I always show my friends The Beach as the first episode because you don't see the main group at all. You only see the villains, and the villains are kind of like normal, you know? And it's kind of interesting. You know, it's like, this is kind of weird, you know? I feel like that's a good episode. The Storm is also a good episode because it has the origin story of Aang and Zuko, which are really important. So that's another really good first episode to watch. But yeah, this is subjective. I shouldn't even be dwelling on this too much because there hasn't been a criticism yet.
The boxing say?
Yes.
Has the boxing say? Yeah. Yes.
Do you remember? Because when I was watching it, I was like, oh no, Aang needs to get all the animals in the area out into like a zoo that he's going to create. And he does this thing where he blows really hard on his ARPA flute thing, and it like essentially gets all the animals in the area to like single file approach wherever he wants.
See, this is what I mean. It's really kiddie and cartoony. Yeah. Or well, I want to see what his like criticism is. He's obviously setting it up.
And I was thinking, like, at first you're like, oh, there you go, neat. But I was like, oh, damn. So Aang knew that he could do that. Like, do you know how many animals they've fought across these 3 seasons in total that he just never uses that against?
It is kind of weird that it works on all animals when it's clearly a bison whistle, like a dog whistle. I feel like that would have been really useful in the desert. Well... Actually, no, because Appa does hear the ringing of the whistle in Appa's Lost Days, which takes place during the desert. So he does hear it, but he's stuck, so blowing really hard wouldn't really do much. In fact, that would just hurt Appa's ears while he's tied up and can't move, so that would be cruel. But, yes, I guess there could be some uses with it, but I want to know... I want to know if this is something worth bringing, because again, like, Tales of Boxing Say is kind of like a filler episode. I mean, you never see that zoo again, so did that really happen? Fuck it, I'll give him a 5th point. I'm gonna give him a point for this just because I can't think of a defense for it other than who knows if the bison whistle... I mean, we do have proof that it works on other animals, but would it work on all? But... since he does learn that it does work on all those animals, wouldn't you try, you know, doing it again when facing other animals? So, a really, really stupid thing that, because again, like, the episode's really kiddie and fillery, but it does exist, so I can't ignore it. So that is a 5th point for MauLer, a small one at that, but a point nonetheless.
Do you remember the, like, army of weird people things that they fought?
Oh yeah.
Damn, bro, you...
Oh, in the Great Divide. Did he have the bison whistle by then? He gets that in the waterbending scroll. Yeah, he buys it before they go to the pirate place. So, I think that's before. No, it's after. Wow. So, yeah, I guess he could try to use it on those beetle monsters. But he didn't. Also, that would have called Appa, though. He was using Appa to, you know, bring the sick and elderly across the canyon, remember? So maybe he doesn't want to call Appa, he doesn't want to bring out the whistle, because Appa would abandon the sick and elderly and, you know, come to them. So that's not a 6 point for you. But it's also the same point anyway. But yes, in the Great Divide, Appa is carrying the sick and the elderly of the, what are they called? The Chu Yangs and the Jins or something. I don't know. I hate that episode. I always skip it, but I do remember it though. Appa is carrying the sick and elderly across the canyon, while Aang and the gang, they are leading the two tribes, together through the pass, right? My criticism would be, why not just constantly make trips over and over again? But whatever.
Use that shit. Get them all to walk single file off a cliff or something, I don't know.
Well, obviously, he's joking there, but yeah, Aang probably wouldn't want to kill animals.
And I think, obviously, they were trying to have some fun with an anthology thing, and I was just like, you just gave him a superpower. I wouldn't have done that if I were you.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, it's not really a... Well, okay, I guess we can call it a superpower.
Maybe he just learned it. Maybe he just learned that trick. I don't know. Maybe it only works on...
I mean, yeah, he kind of did think of it on the fly, but yes, it's still something he does have access to now.
I think it's season 2, and I think there are examples of season 1 and 3 that have, like, animal-related enemies to do battle with in some way, shape, or form.
I don't know. I think the Tales of Ba Sing Se isn't really something you think about too much because, I mean, after he makes a zoo, there's no repercussions. He just destroyed all the stuff. He freed all these animals.
Isn't it
they made a brand new zoo.
He made a zoo in wartime. It's like... it's on the...
Well, who cares if it's wartime? He's Aang. He fucking goes to a fortune-telling place during wartime. This is Avatar. There's fun and there's seriousness, just like life. I mean, we fucking, I'm trying to think of an example, in real life. Fuck. Well, I'm just gonna say, during wartime now, we fucking complain about Star Wars movies. Isn't that sad?
Outside of the wall.
Outside.
It's not outside of the wall, it's in the outer ring of the wall. So it's still within the walls, it's just in the outer ring. Which I don't know what the problem is there. Especially since they think that Ba Sing Se is impenetrable, so... I mean, there was the drill, but they got rid of the drill.
Out of the wall.
You're like
Where's gonna
chilling
see
there
that thing?
with your family, like checking out the elephants, and so then the Fire Nation just show up with a second drill. You're like, oh.
I mean, people live in the outer ring of the wall. I don't know if you know that. That's like a bunch of farmland there, and there's also like houses like attached to the wall that the drill like destroys the first time it's there. So yeah, people live there and everything. Just because it's wartime doesn't mean that everyone has it good. And it also means that like not everyone is afraid of everything either. You can have like a zoo in an area that is vulnerable. I mean, why not? Because you never like it's probably unlikely that there, especially in Ba Sing Se, it's probably unlikely that something bad will happen. But yes, I do agree that this is something that you don't really need to dwell on that much. It's just a fun little thing in a anthology episode.
We should go inside.
You better have an earthbender out there.
Yeah.
Save all
They have earthbenders everywhere, so yeah.
the animals. Just leave all the animals to die then, okay? But there's no repercussions. No, it's not against the law. But I was say at that time was pretty. They cracked down pretty tough.
That is actually something that has merit. The Dai Li probably wouldn't want all that chaos happening. They would probably arrest Aang on sight at that point. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, it is kind of silly that he kind of just like gets away with making a zoo. If MauLer, this is literature devil, he's supposed to be defending it. If MauLer like agrees and like brings up that point, then I guess I'm gonna have to put a 6 point on there, and I can't believe it. I'm gonna have to put fucking zoo being made in Ba Sing Se as a point against it. All these points are really small and like superficial, except for maybe the Roku teaching firebending one, which again I still don't really have a solid defense for, so that's staying. But yeah, it goes to show how well written the show is when your problems are Whistle works on animals sometimes, and Aang builds a zoo.
The the Earth King invites you like Lao guy, that sort of thing. Then Dai Li,
Yes.
you step one side. The Dai Li was actually named after the, the Chinese, I think secret police leader or something like that. One of those things.
I didn't know that, but I believe it.
So that's why they were so. They were the bossing say secret police, and it was really under a strict control from that guy. I forgot his name. The guy who led the Dai Li. And there's no repercussions for that. Just stealing all the animals in the kingdom, making the zoo outside.
You'd think they'd be pissed, wouldn't you? They'd be like, "Hey, you."
All right, well, MauLer brought it up and agreed to it. So yeah, that's 6 point. Really silly. Aang builds zoo when Bossing Say and Dai Li does nothing about it. Again, goes to show how well written the show is when that is your problem.
There needs to be some arrests going on. Okay, this is stealing big gigantic animals not against the law. So against the law here. Why wouldn't it be against the law in like the fascist Bossing Say?
I guess now that I think about it, I mean, I'm joking like, hey, this is a small point that doesn't matter, but yeah, this could potentially get Aang expelled from the city. So I guess it is more important than I realize, and I realize that just now. So I guess this tiny little thing, I guess it is more important than expected. So yeah, this is actually kind of bad.
Nothing happens though. Nothing. It's fine. It's just fine.
So this one's
it's enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Well, I don't even enjoy that part, honestly. Like the Aang episode is probably my least favorite. Yeah, no, that one is probably my least favorite. The one with Katara and Toph is, it's okay. The one with Sokka, I love that one. That one's funny. Of course, I love the Iroh one. I love the Zuko one. The Momo one's okay. It foreshadows Appa, but yeah, the Aang one is, I don't know. I don't like it. I never really liked it all that much.
Told you. I thought to myself like, you didn't need to do that. You could just find a different way. Get those animals out there. You got loads of options. It's fine. So if you remember, we're told that in the Avatar state, Aang is like hyper vulnerable. He's at his most vulnerable. He's like a glass cannon. He's most powerful, but also most vulnerable. The implication being that if he was like, I guess, punched really hard, it might kill him instead of just hurting him. That sort of thing.
That's not what they mean. What they mean is if you die in the Avatar, like, you're not most vulnerable in the sense that you take more damage. You're most vulnerable that if you fucking die in the Avatar state, the Avatar ceases to exist, which is a pretty big fucking deal. I think I remember this point, and I'm gonna have to go deep on this.
And that's why the stakes are like at the highest when we find out that it'll destroy the Avatar cycle too. So when he's zapped by lightning in his back, I think the audience is supposed to feel like, holy shit, is it all over? Like that sort of moment. And then Katara is able to heal him because she has the Healy juice that was established.
Spirit water from the Spirit Oasis, not Healy juice. It's pretty specific as what it is and why it works.
Was that season 1 or 2? I can't remember. I think it was, season 1.
Special. Very special.
She doesn't get it in season 1, actually. I mean, the Spirit Oasis is seen in season 1, but she doesn't get it until the first episode of season 2. Avatar State, the episode you didn't watch, as we discussed.
Healing water she had.
Right. Which, if that was the only thing, I'd be like, okay, fine. It's kind of like you got to have your cake and eat it. You got to show the audience the worst possible thing ever, him getting killed in the Avatar state.
Which goes to show that your first point, I mean, he obviously watched this part. It goes to show that your first point, like, how would they know if the Avatar state doesn't exist anymore, if no one's ever died in the Avatar state? Which I had other points against it, like, to make them think before that would happen, why that would work. But also, Aang does die, and no one is born afterwards, so you should realize that, that point was simply just wrong. But I remember where he's going with this. He mentions Jet, and at first I had pretty good defense for it. At least I thought I did, but I thought more about it, and I don't know. I guess I need to see specifically what he says again. This is actually going to be pretty tricky because this one I think it can go both ways.
And you got to have him survive. You're like, all right, but that's not my issue. Katara let Jet die. She has.
Yeah, I mean, forget that guy. Let him die. Okay.
Okay, well, literature level's not helping. He's making me more frustrated. He makes me want to turn the video off. But I just want to wait. I want to hear his whole point.
There's like super healy juice that could bring people back, but they've apparently like because Ag was almost essentially deceased while he's on Appa, while Jet was like.
Well, he was dead. He wasn't essential. Like he wasn't close to death. He actually was dead at that point, which is pretty interesting. I didn't know that. Like when I was a kid and I first watched it, I didn't know that. I thought he was like on the brink of death, but it turns out like he was actually dead at that point. Here's my thoughts on the Jet thing so far. This is mostly Nickelodeon's fault. The writers wanted Jet to die, but Nickelodeon didn't want death in the show, so they made it ambiguous. Like, the writers did the best they can to make it seem like he's gonna die, but you never actually see him die, and it's left vague. But since it was the writer's intention to have him die, I'm going to assume that he did die in the show. Even though we don't see it, I'm going to assume that he did die for this argument. So let's see further explanation from MauLer on this point.
I'll be okay. And then Toph is like, he's not going to be okay. That's like that's something I really liked, by the way. It was Toph could detect he was lying when he said that. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it is good. There's a lot of good stuff in Avatar, and it makes me happy when he realizes that there are some really good stuff in there. From what I have so far, Katara, as soon as Katara sees Jet laying down on the ground, he's been hit in the ribs or the chest, or I don't know where he gets it. I'm going to assume the ribs, because that's where Katara tries to heal from Long Fang, right? He gets the rock straight to the ribs. So, first thing Katara does, she goes over to heal him, and she's like, "This isn't good," right? And then Smeller B says, "You guys got to get out of here," and Katara says, "We're not going to leave you." And then Longshot, that's his name, right? Longshot finally speaks. He doesn't speak throughout the whole show, but he finally speaks. He's like, "No, you guys go." There's like no time, right? Because the Daily is showing up. They're pressed for time. They're running out of time. He's like, "There's no time. We'll take care of him. He's out later." So they basically force them to leave, and also Jet says, "Hey, I'll be okay, Katara," and then yeah, Toph is like, he's lying, and Smeller B and Longshot seem to know that Jet's gonna die. Like Smeller B's like crying, and then Longshot's getting ready for battle. Like he gets the arrow and the bow, like, and he's pointing it ready to fight. I'm trying to think of why Katara wouldn't mention she had the spirit water. Did she forget? I'm wondering, like, if she mentioned it, she was like, "Hey, wait, I have this spirit water. I can heal him. He'll probably be okay. We can try it." I wonder if Longshot and Smellery would have protested. They would have been like, "There's no time." Just, like, let Jet die, and then Jet's like, "Hey, what the fuck?" Or maybe Jet himself can be like, "Katara, no. That sounds really important. Save it for something more important." I don't know, because I'm pretty sure that's his problem. Like, I want to see if he mentions all of the other things that I said that happened with the situation.
Katara is like, she's like, I don't know if she's tearing up or anything, but she's really upset because she does her standard water bending, and she's like, I don't think she's going to be able to save him. And I was like, uses the super juice. And I thought to myself, oh, super juice probably can't save someone if they've, received mortal damage. And then I was like, oh no, it can't. That's like its point. It does a super heal. I was like, oh.
I just thought she didn't want to.
This is tricky. This is a tricky one. Everything I just said before, that was my defense against this, but it doesn't bring up why Katara didn't mention it or, like, didn't try it in the first place. I feel like it would have been a good scene if she, like, "I'll try the spirit water," and she pulls it out, and then, like, maybe Jet, like, grabs her wrist, and he's like, Don't, Katara. I'll be fine. And that's how they handle it. I feel like that would have been better. Oh, Jesus Christ. Before, I mean, she obviously hates Jet in the beginning of the episode because of what happened before. And Katara, like, she's really, like, if you fuck with her once, she's not going to trust you again. Like, she does not trust Jet throughout the entirety of the episode until, like, you know, they find out that he's been brainwashed, and then that's when she starts to warm up, and then she doesn't truly care until, yeah, he's, like, dying on the floor. This one's really, really tricky, because, again, it can kind of go both ways. Again, it could have been handled a lot better if she, like, pulled it out and then Jet stopped her. But at the same time, they kind of, like, it kind of serves the same purpose as them saying, there's no time, get the hell out of here. Hey, I'll be okay. You don't have to do anything. And she did try to heal him. I don't know. The spirit water is, like, really, really, really important. I don't know. I'm conflicted on this one. I wish Joe was here to help me, like, you know, maybe I won't put this down as a point until I get further thought and commentary on this. I'll ask him about it. Just want to say that I did get in touch with Joe after finishing recording, and yeah, he brought up something that I kind of forgot. Katara, like, when she's locked up in that crystal chamber with Zuko, she is fully willing to just use the spirit water to heal his scar. So it's like, I mean, you probably could have brought it out to potentially try and save Jet. So since that happened, I think it's pretty fair to give MauLer a point here. So that is now 7 points he has made, and it has been 3 parts of this rebuttal so far. So he's doing relatively well, better than I thought he would be, but I think in the overall grand scheme of things, the amount of things we are able to counter, the amount of points we're able to counter is more than the amount of points that he's actually made. But anyway, let's get back to the video.
I mean, yeah, I mean, she might have liked Jet or whatever. They were enemies at one time, though.
He was doing the hero stuff at that point, right?
Yeah, he was saving them. I mean, but he wasn't really part of the main cast, and that stuff is rare. So, I mean, you're on your own, Jet.
I still think that's an indictment on her character. I've always thought she was the kind to, like, she would save someone even if she would save Ozai, even if, like.
No, I don't agree with that. She would not save Ozai. She hates the Fire Nation with the passion. She doesn't like anyone in the Fire Nation unless if they're innocent civilians. But she absolutely hates the Fire Nation military. She is so brutal, and she doesn't really seem to care about how much damage her attacks do. And she is unwilling to trust anyone from the Fire Nation. She won't even trust Zuko when he's clearly, like, you know, on their side now. Even when he is on their side, he's like, hey, one step out of line, you're fucking dead. So that's the first thing she says to him when they fucking when he fucking joins the group. So no, she would not save Ozai. That's a misread of her character. But her saving Jet, I can see very well. In fact, she tries to with the regular water.
If he was, like, screaming in pain, she'd probably help him. Good old guitar.
She didn't
I think he's talking about Ozai. No.
save Jet. I think maybe. I mean, I think at that moment Jet was in the middle of battle. Like he was helping hold off.
Yes, they are in the middle of battle, but again, I think if she mentioned the spirit water, maybe they would, maybe Longshot and maybe they would, you know, keep their pride and honor as warriors and be like, no, just let him die. You know, you use that for something more important. I feel like the outcome would have been the same. I feel like it could have been handled differently. is my problem, because she doesn't bring it up.
Oof, that would be that would be great potential though. Like to have that ethical quandary. Like someone points it out to her and she knows that, and she has to like sort of reconcile the fact that she chooses whether people live or die.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been better if she kind of had...
Again, that would be great if Nickelodeon didn't, like, stranglehold the fucking writers of Avatar.
Had a PTSD sort of moment where she goes
totally.
back to that, flashbacks to that.
I think they might have forgotten that they had that juice at that point.
I don't think they would have forgotten. The Avatar writers, again, are really smart. I just think they weren't allowed to bring it up, because it does imply, like, certain death. You know? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, probably. I mean, that's a really good chance that... The writers have to do
Oh, by the way, I mean, it's been 1 minute and 9 seconds, but we made an hour into the video. Isn't that great?
a lot of stuff. They juggled a lot of characters at that point. So they might have forgotten and only remembered when Aang got zapped by lightning. Then again, she loves Aang, and she might have gotten that.
They introduced it specifically because they knew that season 2 payoff was coming. I think that they always intended to put Aang in.
I mean, yeah, of course. That's kind of what you do, you know, with foreshadowing. Which he better not say it was contrived, because I mean, spirit water, that whole spiritual area in the middle of the North Pole is extremely warm. I'm sure it has special properties. And the spirit is in its name. I don't think it's contrived that it has the ability to save someone. But yes, it is. What am I trying to say here? It is unfortunate that someone could have been saved before Aang. Like, imagine if she did save Jet, and then yeah, the Avatar would be dead. So yes. I feel like the situation could have been handled better. It would have played out the same, or the outcome would have been the same, but it should have been played out better. I feel like that's the issue. It wasn't properly executed.
Basically, like the worst position. But they were like, as long as we've got this sort of, we've keyed it up, we've let people know we've got a thing that can heal people. Like, I can't remember how they describe it, but it's super heal juice. So
it has special properties, that's what they say.
What it has, so I was just like, aha.
And it might have just had Katara think that too. Like, I have this super heating water, and I can't use it unless because she loves Aang. She really cares about Aang. She's a very caring person in general, but she really loves Aang, and her mentality might have been, I can't use this unless Aang is in trouble.
Which is possible, but she also cares about Jet in that moment. Again, I feel like there was no reason to think that Aang would be in mortal danger at that point. The Fire Nation, at that point, there's no way they're breaking into Ba Sing Se. We just stopped a huge drill specifically invented to destroy the wall. So she should have brought it up. That's really all I need to properly, like, I can come up with defenses, but there's still the issue of she never brings it up. If that were there, it would be a solid defense.
She might like Jet, but because she might like Jet. She loves Aang. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Sorry, Jet. Off you go.
Yeah, you're out of luck. Yeah, look, sir.
The other thing I remember about Katara. So do you remember when she uses bloodbending to save Aang and Sokka and
I remember this point. This point is completely stupid, and I have a proper defense against it. So let's see how this goes.
Lady is like, she's like crying because I think she considers it to be essentially unethical bending.
Well, she's crying and saying stop please because it's fucking painful, but yes, she also thinks that it's a horrible, unethical power that no one should have.
So hidden, I think.
What bothered me is when she and Zuko are going to hunt down the person who killed her mum, and they have a theory on who it is, and she just runs straight into bloodbending him, right? And you could be like, that's motivated by the fact that she thinks that person killed her mum. It's like, okay. When they find out he's not, she's like, that's not the guy. She just like drops him and moves on, and I was like, damn.
Okay. In the scene, so he's referring to when they're looking for the Southern Raiders. Yes, she bloodbends the fucking guy, and then she looks at his eyes, and she's like, it's not him. Then she immediately lets him go, and she's clearly remorseful, and she turns around, and then Zuko finds out in the background who it actually was. He's like, you must be looking for Yan Ra. He retired 6 years ago. And then Katara is walking away. She has her head down, and I think she opens her eyes. I can't remember properly, but I think she has tears in her eyes. So she does obviously feel remorseful for doing that to someone, but she's in extreme revenge mode. Like, she does not give a shit about any of these people right now. I mean, she doesn't care about the Fire Nation in general, but yeah, bloodbending is extremely unethical and she hates it, but she felt like it was justified in that moment. She thought it was the man who murdered her mother, but when she finds out it's not, she's like, doesn't matter, he's still Fire Nation, and you know what? We're gonna go find this guy anyway, so it was all worth it anyway. But she's still remorseful, because I'm pretty sure she has tears in her eyes, but I'm not sure. Pretty sure she has tears in her eyes. Her head, she definitely looks remorseful, that's one thing, but she does have tears in her eyes, or I'm pretty sure she has tears in her eyes when she's walking away, which shows, like, she is remorseful, but she doesn't really care right now. What she wants to do is find the killer, so...
I would have thought she would be like, you know, taken aback by the fact that she's just committed to what she considers to be a really horrible act on an, you know, quote-unquote innocent person. He didn't kill her mother, he's just a guy. And she seems to have a huge issue with doing it to just people in general. And so I was, like, disappointed she wasn't, like, shocked at herself in any way.
I mean, that would have been really inappropriate for the tone of the episode. That's what Katara would do if she was still herself. The whole point of the episode is showing how revenge can consume a person. She's in full revenge mode. She feels like she doesn't have the time to break down and fully process everything that's happening. All she knows she wants to do is find this killer and kill him herself. That's what's going on in her brain right now. She has tears in her eyes because the her inside of her. I should look up the scene. I'm gonna look up the scene and see if she does have tears in her eyes.
It's not him. He's not the man.
What? What do you mean he's not? He's the leader of the Southern Raiders. He has to be the guy. If you're not the man we're looking for, who is?
You must be looking for Yan Ra. He retired 4 years ago.
Yes, she does have tears in her eyes. It's really, really subtle. They're extremely subtle, but yes, she does have tears in her eyes, but she is not dwelling on it. All she wants to do is find this Yan Ra guy and fucking kill him, attack him, at the very least. So yeah, having her get shocked and like break down in tears and everything, that's what the normal Katara would do in that situation if she wasn't fueled by revenge. But the whole point of the episode, revenge consumes someone. Yeah, so I guess you just didn't understand. Because if she reacted that way, that not only would have been inappropriate in the scene, she just breaks down and it's just like starts wasting time and everything. I don't know. I feel like it would have been contrived if she did that too. It'd be like, really? Are we really doing this right now? Like, no, you feel like through the tone of the episode, like everyone is like they're like soldiers at this point, like fully committed to the duty that they want to do, and they're not gonna let anything emotional really get in the way of what they're doing. And yeah, that's kind of the whole theme of the episode. So I know he hates themes. That's another thing. I mean, The Last Jedi's themes are fucking terrible. The way they execute the themes are terrible. So I'm not trying to make a defense for Last Jedi, because that's when he brings up like themes don't matter. But themes do matter in this story, as long as they're handled really, really well.
It's like, all right, moving on. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I think she was really angry at herself for being that angry. If I remember correctly, she was. It was just.
Well, she has
when
sort
she
of
got,
a
when she
moment
got
at the
over
end of the episode, but at that point in the episode, it's like I just think someone's missing there.
No. Okay, I think with that, we are going to end things off here. It's been quite a long one, this one. Yeah, so he made 2 points with this one. One being the whistle, why doesn't he use it? And then the zoo, why isn't Aang expelled from the city when doing the zoo? The jet one I'm still conflicted on. We will wait for Joe's input, and we'll wait for next episode to give you our full thoughts on that one. So, yes, we plugged it last time. Joe plugged it last time, which I appreciate. So whatever, we'll plug it this time. School Buds, my series, on tapas.com. Or it might be .io. Yeah, it's tapas.io. My story is on there. I'll briefly talk about it for a second, since it is a passion project of mine. Maybe you could see how I would write a story. I do plan on doing a full video overview of it once I have enough of it. Right now, before there were, 5 chapters or 4 chapters, now there's 6. More to come, obviously. The first 2 chapters, I've looked back, and they're pretty bad. Well, I mean, there's some good stuff in there. The first 2 chapters need to be extremely reiterated, which I have done, but they're not on the Tapas version, because I have multiple drafts of everything. But, yes, everything is handwritten, too, which you might have seen in the little collage of images preview in the last episode. And, so it may be hard to read at times, although with the more recent ones, like 3 and onwards, not only do people seem to get more hooked, because that's when the story actually picks up, and like, the first 2 are mostly exposition, and they're needless exposition. That's why I feel like that's what makes them bad, but they're also like poorly drawn, and the handwriting is awful. But everything afterwards, people seem to get hooked, and that's when my art and writing becomes more clear and better. So yes, if you would like, if you're interested in any way to see how I would write a story, go ahead and check it out. I would really appreciate it. I am always looking to improve. I welcome any criticism or any praise. You know, I welcome both. I also have a whole explanation in my bio of what School Buds is and the decisions I made when making it. So if you're like confused, like why is it stick people? Why is it all handwritten? What is this for? Like what do you want it to be? That it's basically all in there. And again, I do plan on making a full video once I have more of it fully explaining it. But after that plug, rate, comment, subscribe, ring the bell. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. And I'm sorry for the 3 months, but yeah, have a good day, guys.